All right. Welcome to yet another episode of Championship Mood Rings. I am Russell, technically Rudo.
I am Sam, Mr. Chips.
Today we're talking about Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio, title versus mask for the WCW Cruiserweight Championship at Halloween Havoc 1997.
Love the Halloween Havoc logo that I got here.
Halloween Havoc was a sick event.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, they never showed the set from this show, but it's really cool. They went all out on it.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. The stage, the set. I was like
Yeah,
thinking the wrong kind of set there.
WCW went all out with this one. And
Oh,
it's unfortunately in the video we used. For those listening at home, we used the official YouTube upload by the WWE. So we have a lot more ads in the corner of our
wow.
screenshots.
Oh yeah. It was
Yeah.
driving me crazy on the Gale Kong one too. Those big green banners at the bottom. But those ones were short. The ones on this one were so long and they were like getting in the way of things. I was like, oh, whatever.
I think, and I mean, I'm looking at this. I think they every particular highlight of the match they would show up. Because yeah, I'm even looking ahead at certain things.
I'll drag one in to illustrate and then because of the way I crop things, like I'm cropping off half of the things, so it's like just says the Sunday series on W
Yeah.
Network.
Sorry, WWE. No one cares. We're here for this classic action between Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero. Were these gentlemen known entities to you?
Rey Mysterio, of course. Eddie Guerrero, no.
Really? No Eddie Guerrero at all?
I didn't know anything about Eddie Guerrero. I think you know that I definitely knew who Rey Mysterio was because years ago I gave you a Rey Mysterio bootleg head that was a bank. I found a photo of mine. This was a friend of mine who was staying over on a visit home from Portland, Oregon. Came to my house one day with these two Rey Mysterio heads. They were different colors. There was blue, and I forget what color the one I gave you was. Slightly different, but basically the same. My friend left them at my house, and I decided to keep them. And I gave one to you because you're my wrestling friend. And I believe your roommates did not like it.
No. I don't think so.
I spent so long last night looking for a photo of the Rey Mysterio head because, understandably, there are no photos of this on Google. It's just some bootleg that my friend bought in TJ. I was looking so long. If I spent like 4 hours scrolling through my photos, I would have found a better photo. But this photo is actually hilarious. This is a photo of a time that a bird flew into my house. And we lived in this fucking McMansion in Chula Vista. Speaking of Rey Mysterio, we lived in Chula Vista. And so this bird flew into the house and it had huge ceilings. So the bird was just flying around. And then I got these great couple photos of the bird resting on the Rey Mysterio head, which these are different photos, but they look exactly the same.
That's great. I was even gonna ask because, you're a collector of interesting toys and figures and stuff. I was like, that looks too much just like a real bird to be a figure that Sam would be into.
Yeah, that is just a real bird that hung out in my house for like half an hour.
Oh yeah. So Sam, uh, before we get started on the match, have you been into anything this week?
I have been looking. So speaking of me collecting things, there's this specific robot toy that I've been looking for. I've been driving myself crazy looking for it. Checking eBay and Facebook Marketplace and Japanese auction sites for these two robots from the 60s that were made in Hong Kong. And when I went to the aforementioned on a previous episode, the Lana Del Rey pop-up in Long Beach, I found like an antique mall in Long Beach. And I was looking for robot toys. There was none in the antique mall. I was like, I'm surprising. I thought there'd be like a couple. And then I found this brochure at the front, and it said, "Oh, there's a bookstore next door that has tin toys." And I walked inside, and it was just an entire wall of robots. And I saw this guy, this guy. They did not have the two I was looking for, but they had this guy. And I loved him. And I ended up talking with the two guys, these two like older dudes, this like 70-year-old guy in a wheelchair with like a missing leg, and this other guy in his 60s. They were just collector guys. They were just hanging out there. One of them, like, it was his collection of stuff he was selling. He worked there, but they were hanging out, and I talked to them for a super long time about like collectors they used to know back in the day and stores that don't exist anymore in LA, and it was really great. Yeah, I had a really excellent time just talking with these guys. Anyway, I'm going to go back next week and buy this robot. I was like, oh, can I buy this one? The guy was like, come back. I need to look for the box. I was like, all right, whatever. I'll talk with him again and stuff. And he also said he would help me find the two I'm looking for, which I don't have prepared images of. Maybe later. Yeah. Later when I find them, I'll show them off. But yeah, so I'm going to go back to this guy. A Mr. Monster is his name. He's kind of broken.
His name was Mr. Monster?
The robot that we are looking at was named
Mr. Monster. Okay.
The guy's name was Mike. I talked to Mike and Adam.
Okay. That seems more that's a little bit more appropriate, I guess, for
Sorry, I forgot to consider. I also, while I was there, this is where I texted you this Hulk Hogan toothbrush from, in case you were wondering where I was.
This wasn't like used, was it?
Oh, I bet it wasn't used, because this is a dude who's just a toy collector. I'm sure he bought it in the 80s and never used it, but anything's possible.
I guess so, yeah. So I went to dinner with a friend. She just got a new job. And so it's like, oh, I'll take you to dinner and, celebrate your... Because it's like a job in a profession she's been looking to get into. So just like, yeah, good for you. Let's go.
Awesome.
And so we went and we were chatting, and she was like, oh, I started playing this game. Have you heard of it? It's called Bloodborne.
Uh-huh.
And I started sweating.
You're like, how far do I go with this? How much can I let on here?
I was like, yeah, I do know Bloodborne. She's got a little bit into it, and like we were talking about it. So then it just became like thinking about Bloodborne all week, and then finally I gave in and I started another run of it. So I've been doing that.
Oh wow.
Just running through Bloodborne again already. Jeez.
How deep in are you?
I haven't gotten that far yet. I've sort of been setting stuff up. Like I just got to the bottom of Central Yarnum. The bottom of Old Yarnum, excuse me. I disregarded the retired hunter Dira's warnings and ran through his machine gun fire. But I've yet to encounter the blood-starved beast. I don't know, does that mean anything to you, Sam?
It doesn't, but I like hearing it.
You should play Bloodborne. I think you would like it. It's very like
I've thought about it, because you told me a lot about the From Software games. I'll consider it someday.
Yeah. This one is very much like, actually very, very much like a Castlevania, where it's like you find lots of shortcuts and like locked doors and like that type of thing.
Well, that's appealing.
Places, the map changes as the game goes. Like you can revisit places and they'll have new things in them. It's a really fucking good game. Anyway, okay. We're not here to talk about Bloodborne. We're here to talk about Eddie versus Ray. So here we go.
Let's do it. Tell me more, Russell. Tell me more about Halloween Havoc.
Halloween Havoc. Actually, you know what? That's a good idea. I'm going to pause real quick because I don't know any other match from this show. This is like the famous match from it. Yeah, the rest of the card is kind of like, oh. This is the match you're looking at this card. This is the match that you're watching this show for.
Okay.
But we start off strong with some Eddie sucks chants. Some big trash talk from Eddie. He calls a shot that the mask is coming off and he throws a cheap shot, which Ray is able to duck and land one of his own. Now, the following sequence took me about 10 minutes to write about.
Oh boy, I bet. It happens so fast. There's so much going on in this one. The first time I watched it, I was a little perplexed. This was not like the other matches we've watched so far. It was very immediate, like, oh yeah, this is great, this is exciting. Like this one, I didn't get it on first watch. I was like, it's good, it's cool, it's fine, but I wasn't like enthralled until I watched it the second time. And I was like, then I started picking up like, oh wow, oh my god, that's crazy. I started realizing what I was seeing was nuts. So yeah, continue.
Yeah. I think it like still holds up as like a Rey Mysterio is without a doubt like one of the best high flying type wrestlers ever.
Yeah, those moves were blowing me away when I was like realizing like, oh my god, like I mean, as evidenced on the this thing I got here, this little flip thing he does here.
It's quite a wild ride that these two go down. They go off the ropes and Eddie tries to trip Ray, but Ray hits him with this just like crazy immediately moonsault into an arm drag. And this one for sure, like you gotta go like 2 screenshots at a time.
Yeah.
Just like how fast paced this all goes. This is whole thing. I had to keep like pausing and going back and like pausing and going back. So I can't even imagine the nightmare that was getting some of these screenshots.
You know, for this one, and I've been experimenting with this as we've been going, on the Flair Funk match, I went nuts. I like slowed the match down and I was like replaying bits, and it took me so long. I was realizing like I can't sustain this. I can't actually do a rematch this way. So for this one, I had my finger on the button and I would just like hit it. And I'd be like, okay, wait, he's gearing up for something, and I would start to hit it faster. And then like when it was like, okay, they're laying on the ground, I would go slower. So it was just like me just like kind of gauging the excitement of the match with like my rhythm of hitting the button over and over again. And then I just go and I pare them down, I edit it down. I'm like, okay, that's a good shot, that's a good shot. And that's why I've been doing this so far. That's probably the method I will continue.
Okay, that works, because especially like how fast paced this particular match goes.
Yeah.
Ray leapfrogs and monkey flips Eddie and then hits a crossbody that sends Eddie to the outside. Ray does this like feint tope suicida.
Say that one more time for me.
Feint tope suicida.
Tope suicida.
Suicide dive.
Okay.
There's like variations and stuff, but it's like a rope suicide or something like that. Or tope might mean dive. I don't know what it literally translates to. But
it sounds nice.
Ray feints a tope, and Eddie uses this opportunity to just throw Ray onto the floor. And this like really sets up the dynamic. This is just how good both of these guys are too. Mm-hmm. Where like this sets up like the dynamic of the match. Ray like totally outclasses Eddie in terms of speed and maneuvering, but Eddie is so good at like picking his spots to hit like this just effective offense on Ray, cutting him off from doing these like crazy fast attacks on him. Eddie Guerrero is just like so fucking good. Jesus.
Tell me a little about Eddie, because I'd never heard his name before I watched this.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's a failure on my part. I apologize.
That's okay.
So Eddie Guerrero, probably like one of the most like beloved wrestlers of all time, probably.
Okay.
Super good. Wrestled a bunch in Mexico, in Japan, eventually in America as well. Hyper charismatic, extremely athletic, like kind of in a league of his own in terms of like in-ring storytelling and stuff. Passed away, unfortunately, very young.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, in 2005.
Oh, shit, I did not come across that when I was looking up. I kind of don't look up a whole lot of information as I'm doing this stuff. Like if I notice something, I notice it, but I don't like read the Wikipedia pages because I'm like, oh, Russell will tell me. Oh, that's sad.
But his legacy, like within wrestling, like he inspired a ton of people. People do his spots and stuff all the time. He doesn't do it in this match, but he's known for doing like a triple, like 3 vertical suplexes in a row. Like everybody does that now. Like frog splashes and stuff like that. His style of gear here is also a thing that everybody like tributes. Like everybody loves Eddie Guerrero.
Okay. So this I got like a video game render of him. This is maybe fan made, or is this like a tribute to him that was made more recently? Because this seems like more modern game graphics.
That's from like Criminy. I don't even know what game that's from.
I didn't pay attention to where I got it from.
It looks like it's either All Stars or like Battleground, like one of the less simmy ones that WWE did. He was like beloved. He has been in like those games as like a legacy character. Like I think every one of them, even since his death, like he just is. Okay. They just put him in the games because everybody loves him.
I didn't notice before that this toy and this game render of him are doing the same pose, wearing the same outfit.
Yeah. Even it's almost doing the same pose in the screenshot too.
Oh yeah. I didn't think about that one. I didn't think about the timing on that. That was great.
The Guerrero family is also legendary, like where there's like a ton of Guerrero family wrestlers. I think most notably in recent times, his nephew Chavo, his uncle. Later on in the match, he does a move that is called the Gory Special. I don't know if you caught that.
I think that's where I gathered the name. I was like, oh, Gory. Actually, I looked up. I heard it incorrectly. I heard Corey something. Yeah. Like, Corey Guerrero. Oh, that's not working. Gory Guerrero.
Yeah. That was his father, I believe.
Yes, I just double checked that too. He is one of his sons. I was like, oh no, uncle? No, it's his father.
Which is yet another Guerrero tribute. Like the Gory Special is still prevalently used.
There was also something. One of the announcers also mentioned that his father was a tag team partner of Santo. So like I grabbed a couple Santo pictures too, because I've been meaning. There's all those like old Santo movies. There's this company I love called Indicator. They put out this beautiful Santo box set recently. I'm like, I'm gonna end up buying it someday. I love the art on this.
That rules, actually.
And we should watch them together. Absolutely. I think I even thought this before we started doing this wrestling project together when this came out like last year. I was like, oh, I should watch these with Russell.
I don't have a ton of intimate personal knowledge of it, but I know like El Santo is like a folk hero.
Yeah.
In particularly Mexican wrestling culture. I don't know enough about like the history of like lucha. We
should definitely like do like a Santo thing someday, because I would love to know more about that. Because they said his name and I immediately went, oh, I gotta grab Santo pictures. I was hoping you might have, something to say about it, but we should learn together.
Hell yeah, I'm into that. Continue on. Eddie is taking control of Rey Mysterio. He sends him into the steps in a way that like shifts the steps even. Like,
yeah,
it was like he just murdered this dude.
Oh, that step thing. I was like, holy shit. Because the first time I watched it, I said I was like a little sleepy about it for some reason, but the step thing got me awake. I was like, oh my God, the steel steps.
Like just like a crazy shot. They head back into the ring and Eddie hits another signature, speaking of, the Helo. Just a little senton into the ring.
You said Helo? Like HE space LOW?
It is HILO.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Helo. Okay. I hear it.
I think it just means flip. Yeah, just like this nice like flip senton. Another classic Eddie move right there. Beautiful shot of him landing it here.
Yeah.
Eddie starts talking trash to the crowd again. Very charismatic dude.
Yeah, no, I really loved him. He had great look, great presence. So not the long hair. Like his long hair is really good here. I say that as a long hair guy to a formerly long hair guy. Formerly longer. Your hair's not short, but your hair's not as long as it was in high school.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I'm getting there. I'm working on
Mm.
it. Yeah, there are a lot of moments where, like, the hair is in his face just right.
Yeah.
That we'll get to.
There's this quote I think about all the time whenever I think about hair on men. Todd Phillips speaking about Bradley Cooper in the first Hangover movie. Bradley Cooper had been in a bunch of movies before the Hangover, but no one gave a shit about him, right? Because he's invisible. Like if you go back and you watch Wedding Crashers now, you're like, holy shit, that's Bradley Cooper. Like he's nothing in that movie because he's got like this crew cut. It's like he's invisible. He's just a white guy. But then Todd Phillips had this like idea when he was casting The Hangover. He was like, I want these three guys. He made like a deal with them about like I get to cast whoever I want. I get to cast these unknowns for less money. Yada yada. Anyways, one of the things he told to Bradley Cooper was you need to grow your hair out. And he had this thing in his head that he says long hair communicates pain. And just that quote has always stuck with me. And he's absolutely right because no one gave a shit about Bradley Cooper. And then Hangover comes out and he's like, wow, oh, I see that guy now. Oh, I see him. He's a person. He stands out with that length of hair that he had. So Todd Phillips 100% responsible for Bradley Cooper having a, A-list movie star career because he would have just been a nothing up until that point. So yeah, long hair communicates pain. I feel like that comes through a lot with Eddie here, right? Like if Eddie had a different look, those like screams he does, the like it really sells this guy as like he's we're supposed to be rooting for Ray here, right?
Yeah.
I'm not rooting against Eddie because I feel that pain coming through his hair. That's what I think about long hair communicates pain.
I think I can get that. There's sort of and this may be my own bias, is like the way I see Eddie personally, but there's sort of a fallen hero vibe to him in this match.
Yeah.
Where he's not quite. He feels more personally slighted in a way that's dictating his behavior rather than malicious outright. If that makes sense.
Absolutely. It's one of the announcers says like one of the few wrestlers who ever did the dishonorable thing of unmasking themselves during a match.
Yeah.
There's a lot about him going on that I gathered just from the little hints in the announcement. There was he has a chip on his shoulder, just like his father was second fiddle to Santo in his career. He carries that with him and carries that with him on his father's behalf. There's a lot going on in those little announcer bits that they gave me.
That's more credit to, again, Mike Tenay. He's the man. He's the carryover from the last match that we covered. They're back in the ring. Eddie is kind of taking control, but Ray counters. He's able to get in a drop kick and starts to set something up with like a back handspring. But Eddie just counters it with this backdrop that, again, looks like it fucking kills Rey Mysterio.
Yeah.
It's just like this just brutal drive into the ground. And like it's not super conventional looking, but then he tries to kill him again with the vertical suplex. Just like this just great one. Gets a 2 count, tries for a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker that also gets him a 2 count.
A lot of 2 counts in this match.
A lot on the line in this match, Like they talk about like the mask being huge symbol for Mexican wrestling, and it really is. Like it's not it doesn't get taken seriously enough in America, especially the way WCW treated it.
Mm-hmm.
It legitimately is like a huge deal to like lose your mask. Like generally, like, masked wrestlers, like, names are not even public knowledge. We're gonna have to cover one of these because, like, it almost feels like the end of a mask versus mask match in Mexico. It almost feels like a funeral for somebody who is still alive.
Wow.
It is like crazy. It's like literally like a visual, like a symbolic moving on to the next world where, like, they take their mask off and then the announcer goes on, like, his name is whatever. He's been wrestling professionally for this many years. He was trained by this guy. Their whole family is there, and, like, you know, they're like hugging and, like, you know, it's like it's okay, and, like, all this stuff. It is like literally like the only thing I can think of to describe it is a funeral where the person is still alive. It is like crazy. Really, really awesome. Another, like, weird thing where, like, you can only get that in professional wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Like a funeral for somebody who is still alive.
Yeah, I definitely would like to watch one of those. I'd love to get more into mass wrestling because it's, like, so appealing. It's always been appealing to me. As a kid, I loved. Did you ever watch Mucha Lucha?
I have seen it, but I've never, like, it was never something I, like, followed.
I loved that show as a kid. I had so many toys of Mucha Lucha. I should have thought ahead and cut some of those toys out next time we do a mass wrestling match. I had so many of these toys. I loved these characters. Do I remember their names now? The Flea. I don't remember the Flea right now. I grabbed this from HBO Max, so it's streaming. I'm gonna have to watch a Mucha Lucha match sometime, or episode.
Yeah.
I mean, not match.
We'll cover it on the show.
Yeah, we absolutely should cover it on the show. I should have gotten more into mass wrestling as a kid because I loved that. I loved Mucha Lucha. The P, God, Snow P. Wait, Snow P. Are these all real? Yeah, Megawatt's real. Minotauro's real. Buena Girl and Ricochet. Oh shit. El Perito. I don't remember. Is that a fan made one? Maybe.
These two successive 2 counts gets Eddie Guerrero frustrated, and he begins to tear at Rey's mask.
That's right.
You can see in the photo how invested they are in the mask concept.
Oh yeah, the people in the crowd. You're right.
Very excited looking.
They're not cognizant of the fact that they're at a very important match. They're waiting for Randy Savage to come out, right?
They're waiting for Randy Savage. Later on, Hulk Hogan versus Roddy Piper.
Oh.
In a steel cage.
They're waiting for Randy Savage to sell him a Slim Jim.
Well, aren't we all, though? If we're being fair here. Buy a Slim Jim off of Randy Savage's recommendation. Eddie gets Rey into an abdominal stretch and continues to rip at the mask.
Oh yeah.
And trash talk the crowd.
Love trash talking the crowd. The crowd deserves more abuse, I think.
They do.
It's fun.
They don't even know it. This is cool. Rey kind of, like, reaches down and like tries to go for some kind of, like, wiggle out, but Eddie, too smart for that. He hits him with like this, like, pump handle backbreaker. He just laser targeting Rey's back in this match, which makes sense, is you can't be doing all kind of big jumpy stuff if your back's all fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at this moment it is when Rey comes over to the apron and he is just, like, groaning in pain.
A lot of good my back.
Oh, one thing I forgot to talk about here is while we're in this abdominal stretch, commentary brings a very good point up.
Okay.
Rey's mask is attached to his bodysuit.
Yeah.
So what if he does lose? Is he gonna just take the whole bodysuit off to give to Eddie? Because he's supposed to. If he loses, he's supposed to give Eddie Guerrero the mask. It's not just like, all right, I'll do that later. And it's not supposed to be like, I take it off, but it's still mine. You're supposed to hand over the mask to the other guy. Is he just gonna be naked in the ring?
That sounds incredible. That sounds like a really good gimmick. It's like not only you're losing your mask, you're losing your entire.
I mean, you basically, like I said, you basically die when you lose a mask match. Anyway, so they may as well go all the way with it.
I watched a little interview that Ray did with the WWE YouTube, where he's kind of going over his masks a little bit, and he like shows like his replica of the Halloween Havoc mask, but he like talks about like, oh yeah, this isn't the real one. Like, the real one's at home. It was attached to a bodysuit. He like talked all about that.
You know, that is one of the things is like, so I'm not like a collectibles guy like we talked about, but like the two things that I always like think about, masks and the belts, and if there are two masks that I would definitely have to get should it be a thing I finally go in on, and that is the Jushin Thunder Liger mask.
Ooh, hell yeah.
Or the La Parka.
Wow. The Jushin Thunder Liger mask is incredible. Say this guy's name again?
L.A. Park.
L.A. Park. Yeah, this one's great too. That's a good damn skull. I'm always looking at skull toys. I love a good designed skull. Real easy to fuck up a skull.
And
oh shit, Russell.
This one.
Be careful. Telling me things you want. I'm likely to find them for you.
No.
Don't worry. I won't. Don't worry.
Those are because they're two. I'll be honest, basic bitch masks to collect, but I like them so.
Hey, sometimes things are popular because they're good.
I'm not here to impress the mask collectors out there. This next we had a sequence where they're doing the Greco-Roman knuckle lock pin thing. That was great. Like Eddie keeps just forcing Ray to kick out. A thing in wrestling that is sort of understated is it takes a lot of energy to kick out.
Okay.
This moment where they're Eddie pins him a bunch of times in a row. Sometimes it's not about like one of these will get him. Sometimes he's just got to spend a lot of energy to kick out of all of these. Like working towards something down the line.
That's good. That's good context because sometimes I don't think about that overall energy expenditure.
Like you think about it where it's like you got to push them off. It takes like a lot of work to push this huge dude off of you. Especially like when you gotta like bridge up like this and stuff. Ray's eventually able to counter out of the this Greco-Roman knuckle lock pin attempts by using Eddie's momentum here to jump up onto the top rope and do this fucking crazy flip DDT thing.
Yeah, that one I retained. I remember. When he started showing it, I was like, this is a DDT, because I remember the announcer saying, a DDT out of nowhere.
Yeah, so just like this again, like kind of telling the story of like Eddie able to pick out spots where he's able to prevent Ray from doing this explosive offense and keep him down with his own hard-hitting style. But when Ray pops off, he really does. Ray they end up outside, and he tries to do a dive to the outside, but Eddie rolls back in and shoves him off.
Oh, good. The return of the bar across the bottom, so we can't see what they're doing.
Yes.
Thank you, WWE Network. I'll be sure to subscribe right away.
I don't think the network exists anymore. Like, I think this is just like old. I don't know.
It's redirecting me to Peacock.
Yeah, I thought so. And he gives Ray a nice little toss into the guardrail here. I like this fake Sting over here.
Yeah, I noticed him too. I thought, oh my god, it's Sting again.
Who's this guy without his shirt?
That guy didn't really stand out to me before, but now that you mention it.
Yeah, I didn't even notice him until just now. They end up back inside. Eddie puts in a camel clutch and further rips up Rey Mysterio's mask. This is like a blade job rip, too.
Explain what you mean by blade job.
So, like, in Mexico, if you want to bleed, but you want it to be visible, they tear the mask, like, right there. So that the face is just visible enough that you can bleed and have people actually see it.
Wow. Okay. Blade job rip. I get it.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking, I've heard of a blade job. I looked at a little compendium of wrestlers who have the worst blade job scarring on their forehead a couple of weeks ago. I was like, holy shit.
Were the top two New Jack and Dusty Rhodes?
New Jack? Yes. I'm sure Dusty Rhodes on the list, but I don't remember him. I remember Lou Albano, and I remember Abdullah the Butcher.
Oh,
A couple Japanese guys, yeah.
Some guys, their foreheads are crazy.
Their foreheads are just like, they look like a brain at this point, just like the ridges on a brain.
It's just like a mass of scar tissue.
Absolutely crazy shit.
Yes, we go from this camel clutch. He loses his grip on the camel clutch, so he smartly repositions Rey into the gory special, the aforementioned gory special. This big just stretch on Eddie's back there.
It's very like Jesus-y.
Yeah, kind of.
There's something very like crucified about that pose.
I don't know if that's what they were going for, but it's there. I see it.
Or also, you know what? They're both Jesus here. Because Rey is Jesus, but Eddie's Jesus carrying the cross.
He's bearing the cross.
They're both fucking Jesus here. I love that.
Crazy. I'm into it. Rey is able to arm drag himself out of this predicament, but Eddie cuts him off with another drop kick and another backbreaker, which is, this one's like insane. I don't know what this one's technically even called, but like, oof. It definitely does not seem super pleasant.
I can't think of any moves that seem very pleasant.
No, that's true. You got me there, actually. And then Rey gets locked up into what Mike Tenay calls a bow and arrow-like maneuver. I don't know if there sort of is a technical name for this, but sort of, I guess. Eddie has him a single leg crab with an arm bar while also driving his knee into his back. I'm not going to pretend to be the move expert.
Hey, you're the move expert to me, buddy.
Okay.
I don't know.
I appreciate
any
that.
Of this shit.
Eddie gets frustrated that Rey won't give up. Hits him with a sidekick off the ropes. We already discussed this because talking about like Santo and Gory Guerrero and stuff. I put in my notes. Mike Tenay gives a ton of historical context on Eddie's family, and Brian Heenan just sounds annoyed with him. He just says like, "What don't you know?" And like, well, the fuck. Excuse me for giving a fuck, Brian.
God. I forgot that happened, but you're absolutely right. That is like, fuck you. Wait, so we did a bit on Eddie, but we haven't actually done much on Rey yet. Tell me a little about Rey, Russell. What do you think of Rey? Like who is Rey to you?
Well, first off, he's from San Diego.
I know. I grabbed this one because of the 619.
Automatically, he's both of our boy.
Yeah.
One of the best like high flying wrestlers of all time, without like any kind of doubt. Super innovative. Like no one moved like him when he did. This style of high flying wrestling, it's really hard to hold up. Every couple of years, people come up and you go, "Wow, there's no way they're gonna move faster than this guy." And then a couple years later, somebody does.
Okay.
Right? But Ray, like, in terms of, like, technique and speed and, like, what's the word I'm thinking of? Flow, I guess? Just, like, nobody really touches him to this day. Especially, like, him in this era, like, in the 90s. This is a beautiful bootleg.
I love this bootleg.
It's like they put a lot of effort into the top and then gave up. But yeah, I love Ray. Like, he kind of had a semi-legacy, I'll say legacy damaging couple of years in, like, the mid-2000s, but then he went away and, like, went back to Mexico and, like, got in killer shape and became, like, awesome again.
Okay.
And then he went back to WWE, so I haven't seen him wrestle in a really long time. But yeah, love Ray. Oh, his son has recently debuted for the WWE, and he is not great.
a nepo baby for the wrestling world.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, wrestling
is all like, nepo babies.
Oh yeah, this is I mean, like, this is.
I mean, it's Rey like Mysterio a family business.
Jr. Yeah, Rey Mysterio Jr. versus Eddie Guerrero, like, both from wrestling families, you know.
I went looking for Rey Mysterio Sr. picks. This is the only one I was able to find because everything else just shows up with him. I didn't dig enough. I'm sure I could have found more, but this is the only one I was able to go. That's definitely not the Rey Mysterio that I just watched. This must be his dad.
And Mike Tenay sort of goes over this in the match, and this is one of the things that Brian Heenan gives him shit for. But like he wrestled under a different name before he went with Rey Mysterio Jr. And was given that name by
the
his
Hummingbird,
uncle,
right?
who wrestled as Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio is actually talking about the history of masks and everything. That actually brings us to this good point. So I alluded to earlier that WCW did not care much about Mexican wrestling masks. And they went through this period of time where they were just getting rid of everybody's mask. Like, I think literally, like, they wiped out everybody, including Rey Mysterio. He wrestled without a mask for the last few years of WCW's existence.
Shit.
In the, like, little period of time between the end of WCW and coming into WWE, they sort of fudged it a little bit. You know, like, they went, why don't we just give you the name Rey Mysterio instead of Rey Mysterio Jr.?
Oh, yeah.
So now you can re-debut with the mask. And I think everybody went like, you know what? Fuck WCW. It was stupid to take the mask off of you in the first place.
Yeah.
We can look away. We can look away while you do this and put it back on, because that's the right thing to do.
Yeah, you described to me immediately. Felt like that's a stupid idea. One picture without the mask on, I was like, what?
No, and he maintains it. Like,
yeah, in that interview, I was just going to say, in that interview I watched on YouTube where he's talking about the mask, he's wearing the mask. I was like, yeah, of course he is.
Yeah. Well, that's like I said, like in Mexico, a lot of times, like, a masked wrestler's, like, actual name is not publicly known, you know? They're like truly anonymous people. It's serious. Like, you know, you are appearing as Rey Mysterio, you're wearing the mask, you know? Down till, like, they did an angle where, like, he got home invaded.
Whoa.
Like, to not really, like, you know, get too into it recently, where, like, and they have, like, a thing where, like, he will on camera, like, dip his head, put a mask on, and then come back up, you know, like, when he realizes, like, oh, there are cameras over there.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like, even, like, at home, he's like set up to be wearing the mask, you know.
Okay.
Yeah,
I get it. I get it now. Yeah. They showed up to his house with cameras, and he quick put on the mask.
So our guys end up in the corner. They're peppering each other with strikes, but eventually Ray is thrown up into the corner into the beloved Tree of Woe position.
Oh yeah, this is just like when I was talking about the on Kim V Kong, when I was like, oh my god, she's stuck on the ropes. She can't get off because she won't unhook her leg.
No, and I mean, like, again, throwing it back to TLC 2, how great Christian is, where he took the time to be the one to hook them up like that. I think it was Matt Hardy up like that. It made it way less dumb.
Huh? Yep.
So Ray hits him with a drop kick while he's down there, and then gives us this big absolutely shit eating grin. About how he has Ray right where he wants him.
Yeah, he's got a great smile too. Like, he could have been in movies and shit.
The hair makes him look kind of manic, where it's like all in his face, like he's like setting out to hurt Ray. Not all goes to plan. He goes for this basement drop kick, this sliding drop kick, and ends up nuts first into the ring post.
Oh yeah, nuts first into the ring post, which is I believe a great advertisement for Slim Jims.
His Slim Jim snapped into, let me tell you. This gives Ray the opportunity to hit this crazy fuck dive from the top over the post and to the outside. Again, just a crazy thing.
What did you call the style of wrestling again? You called it high flying?
Yeah.
It's really incredible athleticism. I was, once I realized it on the second watch, I was like, oh yeah, like I get why this is one of the all-time great matches.
There are certain things, and we'll get to the big one soon, I think. There are certain things where, like, yeah, it can't get crazier, and then a guy comes along and does something crazier. But there's stuff in this match that, like, holds up as, like, it is fucking crazy that Ray was able to do this. And, like, I mean, like, this is something that people don't really do a lot, where, like, they jump over the whole post like this to the outside. It's really fucking cool. Eddie attempts another tilt-a-whirl backbreaker, but Ray is able to counter it into a Frankensteiner style pin. Mm-hmm. It's escaping me if there's an actual, like, name for this right now, but, like,
Frankensteiner isn't the official name?
I don't think so. Not.
Yes. I love Frankensteiner. It sounds like John Frankenheimer mixed with the monster.
Well,
who's like a director.
But he rolls up Eddie real quick and gets a 2 count. Eddie sends Ray into the ropes, but Ray moonsaults over him, which puts him in position to hit a feint kick that he would later become famous for as the 619 into like a head scissors that sends Eddie to the outside.
God, a lot going on. You just right, so many things just happened all at once right there. Oh, and the little banners back across the bottom too. Good.
Amazing.
I was forgetting to subscribe to WWEnetwork.com.
Yeah, so this is why, because this is like the part of the match that I think is like sort of one of the most notable moments, and definitely where they would put the ad. This is another moment where I don't really know the technical name for this, but Ray hits a tope con hello and catches Eddie with a Hurricane Rana to the outside. And it's just like fucking insane. This was like a moment, and they talked about like these two have faced each other in singles matches a lot. Like this is held up as like their best match together. And they talked about how like they hit shit in this match that they just were never able to again.
Wow.
And this is like one of the things. It's just like this suicida into a Hurricane Rana. rad. Like, nobody does this.
Yeah.
So like, I hope it was at least one of the things that made you go like, oh shit.
Yeah. Definitely. They sacrificed themselves, but we all noticed. It was worth it. I mean,
It became a sick, forever known spot. So
my it was worth it is in reference to wrestling as a whole. Destroying yourself, it's very cool. It's very impressive, and I think it's worth it. It's it's you live on, right? You live on with these things. I guess that's all a lot of us are looking for.
Back into the ring, these two barely get a second to breathe, because back in the ring, Ray hits a corkscrew moonsault onto Eddie and gets him a 2 count.
Finally, this moment we have here.
This is that moment, yeah.
Which I love the way that Eddie's face looks in this screen cap, because it's like so kind of blurry hair. He like looks like a different guy. Like he looks like he's got these like huge big sideburns. He kind of has like a Lemmy Kilmeister thing going on in this screenshot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, you gotta, if you're catching a dude like that, it's not always super pleasant, you know. It's sometimes that's like one of the things that always betrays the anguish, I guess, is like when they get crashed into like that. Ray only gets a 2 count off of this. So then he sets Eddie up near the ropes and hits a split-legged moonsault. And this is another part that is going to go a mile a second. Eddie gets his knees up, successfully countering the move. And then hits Rey Mysterio with this just like this power bomb that, again, looks like it just is like just a murder of Ray. Just brings him up and he just lands like just fucking ugh.
Yeah. That like a little bit of air they got between the mat right here.
Stacks him up. Only gets a 2 count, which he argues with the referee about.
This moment I love because of the like just like a very slight zoom in. You see him on the screen up here too. There's something very moody about this shot. It's kind of the black. You barely see the crowd. Him on the screen up there. I love that moment.
No, it's definitely like what we were talking about before, where he seems more fallen than a guy who is just outright malicious. Because it's like, it feels like I just murdered this guy, and you're telling me that was a 2. Like he's not angry. He doesn't come off with anger here. He's simply taken aback. Which I really like. That doesn't happen in wrestling a whole lot. He really sells the disbelief. Eddie picks up Ray and drives him into the corner, and he goes for a splash, but Ray alley-oops him into the turnbuckle.
Yeah, this is a great one.
Ray signals for a springboard, but Eddie is able to catch him with yet another backbreaker, which in turn, Eddie then signals for the frog splash. But Ray gets out of the way, dodges out, which Eddie catches and rolls through, and then tosses Ray up to the top, where he follows him up to go for another huge backdrop. But Ray fights out, only to find himself in position for the outsider's edge. But Ray successfully counters into yet another Frankensteiner and rolls him up for the 3.
Finally, no more 2 counts.
You saying finally no more 2 counts is a major thing in the wrestling world. Man. So our Rey Mysterio is our winner. He is handed the title and starts to give his emotional promo into the camera.
What?
When he gets jumped about a second into it by a not happy Eddie Guerrero. Throws him out of the ring and sends Ray on his way, the new Cruiserweight champion. Sam, what'd you think of Rey Mysterio versus Eddie Guerrero, Halloween Havoc, title versus mask?
It was a great match. Like I said, it took me a couple watches to really kind of hone in on like the things that were happening and how impressive it was. But once I realized, I was like, oh yeah, this is incredible stuff. I'm very sad to learn that Eddie Guerrero passed away. I really liked him from what I saw here, and I'm sorry that I did not know about him before. Like apparently I should have. Oh, I love this where he's holding some flowers like Morrissey in the '80s. This was a toy of this exact outfit from this match, but there's also a shirt on top that did not appear in the match that we saw.
This is Eddie Guerrero from the year 2000, so this is a few years later.
Oh, is he just wearing the same pants as the? I thought it was the same Halloween Havoc pants.
These are very, very slightly different. These don't have the red.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
I wasn't paying attention. You're right. I wasn't paying enough attention. They are different. And then this toy, I think, is hilarious because it's him at Halloween Havoc holding the chair, which I didn't see.
Never happened. Which also you pulled this toy also, which is also him in the Halloween Havoc gear, but he has the cruiserweight title. But this is not the cruiserweight title that they had. This is a different design. So the cheap fucks didn't want to make a proper WCW cruiserweight title, I guess.
or I don't remember where I sourced that one from. Could have been somebody playing with their toys, accessorizing from a different set.
Yeah, I mean it could have been. I wonder, they probably don't. I'm gonna look up and see if such a thing even exists. Oh, Eddie getting all twisted up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a beloved match by two beloved wrestlers for a beloved title and a beloved mask.
Yeah, that was great. This was 94?
97.
97.
Yeah. So you and I are jumping all over the place historically. But
yeah. Oh, I misremembered. I thought it was 94 and that it predated the Jim Carrey Riddler, because I noticed a little while ago when we were watching it. I was like, I paid more attention to his thing and I was like, oh yeah, that bodysuit with all the question marks, that's very Jim Carrey Riddler.
That could be part of it. Rey Mysterio is kind of known for his like special attires that like tribute superhero shit. So like,
I mean, they're a little similar.
He may do that. I don't know if Jim Carrey Riddler was cool enough for him to do at the time. But he probably has done it since. I would have to look into that.
God, I never paid attention to Jim Carrey's Riddler shoes. What the hell?
I was just looking at those too. I've never seen this before.
Those are great. Is that what he wore in the movie, or is this just a promo shot with those shoes?
I genuinely have no memory of that. Though I am impressed by the package on this guy. Criminy.
That was one of the most famous things about the Jim Carrey Riddler. That fucking bulge, man.
Was it? I don't know anything about the behind the scenes or the response to this movie. I only know about the response to Batman and Robin. But not Batman Forever. Do people not like this one?
I forget. I'm basing it on one of my friends. I think he likes this one a lot. I mean, he likes both the Schumacher Batmans. I don't have a fresh remembrance of all the Schumacher Batman information. Maybe we'll come back to it later.
Well, yeah.
I'm sure that the Schumacher Batman will reappear throughout our discussions, because this is a very wrestler aware movie and costumes, I think.
Yeah,
Schumacher. I'm going to do research. I bet Schumacher likes wrestling.
I'm going to say probably. And with that, I'm going to also say thank you for joining us here today. We greatly appreciate it. This has been Sam and Russell covering championship mood rings. Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio at Halloween Havoc. Maybe we'll cover the rest of Halloween Havoc. I don't know why we would. The rest of the card sounds awful.
Someday soon, give me a Randy Savage.
We'll hit up Randy Savage for sure. We're actually on the other side of that. We're gonna have to do a bad match eventually.
Oh yeah, please. Oh, that'd be so much fun. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, I'd love to watch bad matches. Wow.
Not all of this shit is good.
We're not just gonna hit the fives on the something scale.
Something scale.
Oh, there's like a famous rating system, 5-star matches. I thought you might know.
Yeah. No, I was interested to hear how much you knew.
Dave Meltzer 5-star matches.
Dave Meltzer 5-star matches. He is a wrestling journalist and half respected, half despised critic. I like him. I tend to have taste that aligns with his.
Okay.
And I mean, shit. He rated, let's go through. I'm gonna go through the list real quick, actually, because Ric Flair versus Terry Funk, he rated that 5 stars.
Yeah, that's where I came across this concept, was the Ric Flair Funk match.
Where did this match get 5? This one did not get 5. 2000s, almost nothing got 5 in the 2000s. Jeez, it was a dark time. Daniels versus Styles versus Joe, we're gonna have to cover. All right, I'm cutting this off. Hey, Thanks for joining us, everybody. Have an excellent night. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.